What are my options for IBM I, HA, DR, and backups? Today's webinar will dive into the many different options that you have on an IBM I server. The good news is you have options. I'm Tom Huntington, Executive Vice President of Technical Solutions at the Fortran Company. I'm here today as an IBM champion for the last 9 years and an expert in HADR on behalf of Fortran. So with today's presentation, we're going to talk about high availability disaster recovery planning and what are some of the options for you as a customer of the platform. We'll see from this year's IBM I Marketplace study that the fourth item on the list of top concerns is high availability and disaster recovery. We've seen this number be number 2, number 3, of course now number 4, which means it's still on everybody's mind. We know there are a lot of potential problems out there. There's security concerns, there's natural disasters, and many other things like regulations even that drive the need for high availability and disaster recovery. So as we said, we have many options. And from our marketplace survey this last 2025 results, we see that people are using the ability to recover from high availability, 64%. Some are still using tape, 54%. Some are using virtual tape. We're seeing that number grow and grow. Some are using cloud backups, others and none. And if we look at high availability solutions, we'll see 66% of the market is using software-based high availability versus hardware based. And we'll talk about the differences between those. And obviously some of you out there do not have any HADR type solution. So like I said, you have many options. You got logical replication, software-based replication, hardware-based replication, full system replication, global mirror, metro mirror, live partition mobility, remote start, power HA, hyper swapping systems, tape backups, virtual tape library backups, cloud backups. The list goes on and on. It's pretty impressive, and even things like flash copy. So really when it comes down to HA and DR, we have to ask ourselves, how long can you be down, right? What does that mean? So recovery time objective is really a key component of this. So if you remember, the marketplace study had people that were using high availability. That's because those people are saying, I probably have a recovery time objective of less than 1 hour. And so they want to have their system up more quickly. Those who are doing tape backups or virtual tape library backups, reality is the recovery time objective is probably more like 1 business day. And then we also talk about recovery point objective. So when there's a disaster, how far back do you have to go to rebuild the data? If it's a recovery time of 24 hours, then you're going to have to rebuild a day's worth of business potentially. Whereas HADR is generally up to the second where the failure occurred because the data is being sent some way across the network via an electronic transfer. So RPO is less with HA type solutions, much less than with backup type solutions. So again, we also hear people talk about HADR as if they're the same thing. Technically, they're different. When somebody says, I'm looking for an HA solution, they're generally looking for something with as short as possible recovery time objective as they can, and in some cases, continual availability. And there are some solutions out there like that for even IBM I. Disaster recovery, people are saying, if I have a failure, I want to be able to make sure that I'm covered for everything. So in other words, high availability in the same data center is not the same as disaster recovery capabilities, because disaster recovery capabilities take into account that your data center might be wiped out or you can't access it for whatever reason to get your system running. So DR thinks a little differently about mission critical functions and disasters that could happen. My colleague, Brian Nordland, also a fellow IBM Power Champion, put together this little graphic here. I'm going to marry some of the various recovery options that you have with storage outage, server outage, OS outage, data center outage, regional disasters, and then even offline backups, so that you can consider your RPO, RTO, and look at the various requirements that you might have as a business. So that's really important part. I just said the word business. You need to talk to your business leaders, and you got to ask them what their needs are. So let's talk backups first. With IBM I, my first question to everybody is, do you know if you have a good backup? Right? Is your backup solid? So quite a few years ago, I wrote an article on how to audit your backups, but there's some things you can look at. You can look at history logs, save data areas. You can review your backup CLPs. You can review your backup product that you might be using, like BRMS or Robot Save. And then, of course, are you testing that you can recover from these backups? Again, a backup is not a backup unless you actually test it and try to restore from the system. Well, in today's world, there are lots of virtual tape library options for you. We got Cybernetic, LaserVault, Dell Data Domain, which used to be EMC, DSI virtual tape libraries. We have the ETI group, and we have Falcon Store, and I'm probably missing somebody in the market, but most of these vendors have been around for quite a while, and they can do virtual tape storage type backups versus the traditional tape drive backups. But people are doing tape drive backups too. And then we have cloud backups. We haven't seen what I'd call as much success with cloud backups, especially as we get into servers that are above a terabyte in size. But there are solutions out there with Rocket Software, Carbonite, cloud backups to Amazon, et cetera, et cetera. The most important thing again here is, if I'm going to use cloud backups, can I restore my data in a reasonable amount of time? You can't go to Amazon and ask them for an IBM Power Server. They don't exist. All right, flash copy. Flash copy's been around for quite a while. Very proven technology. It requires IBM external storage, but basically what you're doing is you're taking a full system image of your production server, creating another image in a thin partition, and then later on spinning up that thin partition and doing backups of the objects in that thin partition to some form of tape, which could be virtual tape or just regular tape, and then getting those off-site. Flash copies are very popular in the IBM I world, but they do require external storage from IBM. So full system flash copies, once you do that, you can run the process. You can integrate that with BRMS backups or Robot Save backups. But again, the requirement for flash copy is the virtual storage unit from IBM. Flash copies can be run while users are even on the system. So it is a way of doing an offline backup without impacting production. Okay, so what are your options for high availability and reducing the recovery point objective and recovery time objective? Well, one of the technologies that we hear people talk about is live partition mobility. It's been around for quite a while. It basically, in essence, is a availability solution that you could use in the same data center or even across data centers, but all it's really doing is moving your environment from one LPAR to another, without basically replicating the data that's in them. So it does have minimal impact. It's usually used in around the area of doing planned server outages, hardware upgrades, and it does again require external storage with LPM. And LPM exists on IBM Power for IBM I, AIX, and Linux for that matter. The next option that we hear more and more people talk about is full system replication, or you'll hear people talk about FSR. Again, this requires IBM storage, external storage, and what's happening is that the server's active, and while one server is active, the other server can't be active, and nor can the data be accessed. What's happening is the system is doing a replication of the data from one server to the other. In this case here, we're now going from prod physical server B, and we're doing a storage replication to the external storage on the physical server number A. Again, this can be a synchronous process or an asynchronous process, and IBM refers to it as Metro versus Global Mirror. Basically, the idea is if you're in a geographic area of say like 20 kilometers, you could do metro mirror and synchronous replication. If you're further than that, you're going to be doing asynchronous, and basically um, the technology is not as guaranteed that the data is actually going to get to the target. Okay, so we look back at our chart here, and then when we have full system replication, that certainly is going to take care of a storage outage, a server hardware error issue, or a data center issue. You're going to have replication of your data outside of your data center. And then we also have full system replication global mirror. The benefit of that is it also is going to give you regional coverage. So metro mirror, as we had in the previous slide, is in a localized data center kind of approach. The global mirror, which is the asynchronous replication for full system replication, allows you to have the servers in different regions of the world. Then we have software-based replication, or logical-based replication as people refer to it. And we have our Robot HA product from Fortra. What this does is uses the traditional or long-term technology called journaling. We journal the database. We have remote journals. We apply those changes over the target. And this too can be synchronous and asynchronous, but quite honestly, most everybody does asynchronous journaling. And this is, again, technology that's been proven for quite a while. And the other thing interesting is all instances are active. The advantages are certainly there for software application because source and target are both active. We have people that do BI reporting, other testing type things over on the target system. You can perform your backups over on the target system. The ability to distribute data to multiple targets if you want with this. It uses less bandwidth, but we also have to consider there's more daily care and feeding. Somebody has to set up the rules in it versus like storage replication where it's basically all or nothing. And of course, it can have a bigger impact. I'd like to just break out, do a little live demo here, show you how our Robot HA product works. We just go in, we type in the RBO menu on both of our systems. We take option 25 to go into Robot HA. And we have now a production system on the left, a backup system on the right. If I want, I'm going to go in and just add a new library rather quickly. I come in here, I have a bunch of libraries I'm replicating, no errors going on right now. I can see target journals, etc. I want to add a new library that I don't have over on my target system. So I'm going to send that over to the backup. I'm going to tell Robot HA to use journaling and to manage the journals. It will automatically do that. If I want, I can also have, if somebody were to add a file that they wanted journaled, but they didn't put it in the right journal, we can fix things like that. And then I'm also going to want before and after images so that I can actually see the before image of changes and the after image of changes in the product. So here we're just adding the rule. We'll see it in there. And if I come over here and do a work lib, we'll see HA demo 2 doesn't exist yet over here. The rule's in place. I can take an option 8 from here. That'll save that library to a save file, and then it will send it over to the target. And once it's in sync here, we'll see it over on the target. At this point in time, I can go ahead and change data. So I'm going to bring up my Easy View tool and do F21 over here and do the same thing. Bring up the data. And as I make changes, I can change Bob to Tom, hit enter, and the data changes automatically over there. That happened rather quickly. So let me do it one more time. We'll type in Dawn, hit enter, and Lonnie now becomes Dawn over there. And then finally, click on a couple of our sales reps here, and now we see the data is Donna over there. So rather quickly, we added a new library to Robot HA on the production side, or the source side as people call it. That data is being sent already. It's that easy. You as a customer have to figure out what libraries you want to replicate and where you want them to go to. Robot HA will help you with IFS directories. It'll help you group libraries together. It also replicates your system configuration data like authorization lists, job schedule entries, web definitions, TCP/IP definitions, private authorities, user profiles. All those things are being replicated by the product. So that's a quick demo on Robot HA and how that works for replication and software-based replication. Let's roll on. We have more options. We have Power HA. Power HA, if you don't know, is worked on by the Fortran company. This is a little different than full system replication. It's also different that it has geographic, metro, and global. Geographic works with internal disk. Metro and global work with IBM external storage. In both cases, what we're doing is we are separating the operating system from your application data into what we call an auxiliary or independent auxiliary storage pool, rather. And that data then is replicated real time from one storage unit to another. This data on the target system is not active and it's not available. Doesn't matter if it's internal, external storage, you cannot access the data while it's being replicated to. However, you can do role swaps, and the other beauty of this is everything you put in the IASP is automatically replicated. So hardware replication with IASP is very popular on IBM I. It's been around for quite a while. You can still update the OS. You can still monitor the OS while replication is going on. So consequently, it gives you the ability to have both software, hardware, and a full range of coverage when it comes to DR purposes. So this is a great way of being able to update things for you. They use independent auxiliary storage pools, again, a feature that's been on IBM I for probably about 2 decades now. So that's not new either. Very proven technology, and actually pretty, once you do it a few times, getting into an IASP and setting it up is not all that hard to do, but it separates your OS from your application data. It can be taken online and offline without a system restart. So you can vary off the drive, vary on the drive. And really it's the foundation for Power HA technologies. We do know there are some objects that don't go in the IASP. So we do have customers that use Power HA in combination with other things like software-based replication. So now if we look at our diagram or our chart here again, Power HA Metro Mirror, again, that is synchronous replication within like a same metro area of the world. It's going to be replicating data from your IASP to the other IASP in sync mode. So it's a good data center coverage, OS outage, server, storage, and of course you can still do offline backups. Then we add in Global Mirror, and we can even cover the entire spectrum here because this also does regional outages. So if you lose a power grid, you lose your data center, you got to move to some other part of the world. Global Mirror is great for that, and it is a asynchronous type technology, and you could certainly stop replication, detach, do your test over there, perform your backups over on your target. But a lot of times people use this in combination with flash copy. And then finally, IBM a few years ago with 7.4 came out with DB2 Mirror for IBM I. This is the most expensive of the solutions because you have to have 2 similar IBM I servers in the same data center or in a very close proximity with a technology called the Roki cable. But this allows you to basically have 2 systems that are images of each other that are being updated real time, so you can switch over and run from either one. Again, a great high availability solution for within the data center. But notice I've been saying high availability because it's not really DR. You're still going to need Power HA, Robot HA, some kind of software-based replication solution to allow you to get your data out of the data center to a different region of the world for DR purposes. So like I said, what's the best solution for you? It's kind of based on your business needs, your pocketbook, what you can afford on the system is going to help determine what you can do. Logical replication, software-based replication has been around the longest out there. Journaling goes all the way back to the system 38 days. Products like our Robot HA have been helping customers out for years in doing that. Power HA, Metromere, another technology has been around now for 15 years at least, and that has great coverage and a great following. We are seeing more and more customers doing full system replication, but it doesn't cover everything for you. You have to still think about outages with OS software outages. Of course, we've got DB2 Mirror that covers truly high availability. It is the most high availability solution, but it also doesn't cover your data center outages and regional outages because it's within a similar data center. So lots of options out there. The good news, you got lots of options. The bad news, you have to choose something if you really want to get to an HADR solution. And then, of course, tape backups are out there. Those are always options that people are looking at in this day and age. There's some really good things I see in tape backups still today, and the fact that they're detachable, right? It's hard for somebody to encrypt a tape on you if it's detached from the system. So you have a nice backup in case you ever have ransomware that's off-site that you can get at. Virtual tape libraries are, still vulnerable in my mind to ransomware because they are in the same network or they're attached across the network. And certainly if one hits one side, it could hit the other when it comes to ransomware. So real-time replication solutions for HAD are in addition to what we've seen. And of course, we can provide help with you and walk you through and talk to you about what your options are. I highly recommend a conversation with us. We'll walk you through all these various items, talk to your staff, help educate you because you do have choices. And at this point, I want to thank you for joining me today on today's webinar about the IBM Power Platform and the various high availability disaster recovery options you have, and of course, even backup and recovery options that we talked about. So rather quick webinar on these options, but feel free to reach back out to me, Tom.Huntington at Fortra.com. Look me up on LinkedIn or talk to your regional sales representative, and we'll work together to give you a great demonstration of what we can do for you when it comes to high availability disaster recovery. Thank you very much. Have a wonderful day.